this, ladies. We are now live on Facebook. We are at 4 o'clock sharp, and super excited about today's Q&A, live Q&A. Just before we get started, to share with you all why we created this as a team and how this all started. So I'm a licensed realtor broker. I've been in real estate since 2004, and I was around when the market crashed, and I prided myself back then to help people avoid foreclosure. So I did write a book. I am a published author, and it was interesting when this pandemic hit. I am a part of an amazing team of intelligent women and men, and we were talking when back on Friday the 13th, that's right, in terms of when it all hit, and figuring out, well, what can we do to give back to the community? And that was really important for us to figure that out. And I thought, you know, I love educating people through real estate. So we together as a team came up with this live Q&A every Thursday at 4 p.m. to go over teaching people about real estate and the different levels of real estate so we can give back to the community. So super excited that we're still going strong. I can't tell you how excited I am about this one specifically, dealing about the 5 myths of green homes. So without further ado, I'm gonna sign this off to Izumi, who is a part of my team. I'm so honored to have us a part of a team and working together. So Izumi, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Danica. How's my son? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I am so excited to have Marla on this today because she was my very first guest on my podcast, and she's my green guru. So thank you so much, Marla. So Marla Esther Kuluz, she is the founder of Green Home Coach, and she helps you to get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. And her mission is to empower you to create healthier, more comfortable homes for your clients and yourself. Simple swaps to green and sustainable actions and products are the way to better homes. She hosts the Everyday Green Home podcast, and manages Everyday Green Home, an online green shop. And her book, Living Green Effortlessly, oh, I should have had it in my hand to show you, Simple Choices to a Better Home. It's a 2018 IBPA Benjamin Franklin Award finalist, and it was published by National Association of Home Builders, NAHB Builder Books. And Marla shares what makes a green home green, why it matters, and how to do it, and one bit at a time. So definitely we're going to talk about what makes the homes green. But so I think there's a lot of misconception about green homes, and let's talk about the 5 myths of green homes. So Marla, take it away.
So I want to thank you so much. There's a lot I want to say. But talking with all of y'all is, and sorry, my Okie comes out there, doesn't it? I am in Oklahoma. I lived a long time in St. Louis, so I got rid of everything except for the y'all, and the y'all's still back. So at any rate, it is what it is, right? But I want to really chat with y'all about why this all matters. I mean, is we are living in the middle of this pandemic. We have lived in our homes in ways that we never ever thought that we would live in them. And we just, we never even conceived of all this. And now we're seeing our homes in ways that we've never seen them. We see our health as a huge, huge priority now. I mean, everywhere around us, it's slamming us in the face every day. And our homes are major contributors to our health. And we haven't realized that for a long time. So what I really want to do, if you guys are okay with this, is take about 25-ish minutes, give or take how many questions we want to take, to run you through part of a talk that I do that's all about how to sell the value of green homes and green features. Why do you care about this? Because when you think about the 5 myths of green homes, and by the way, there's a freebie on my website that you can get the whole white paper on greenhomecoach.com and get all the 5 myths. But these 5 myths keep many of us from seeing the value of the green features and the things that make a home green and greener. And when we don't see the value, we leave that on the table. We leave that money on the table. So if you think, wow, if I knew how to talk about this stuff, if I knew how to show the value of this, I can help my home buyers get a better home. I can help my home sellers get a better price. And that's going to help everybody to have a healthier, more comfortable lifestyle in their homes. So understanding what you're talking about makes a big difference when we're in this whole process. And Izumi, I know you know this because you and I talk about this all the time, but there's a lot in the real estate community that don't know this. And being in the Midwest, where I am in Heartland, there's definitely a lot of people that don't get that connection. But I haven't met one person so far that will tell me that they do not want their home to be healthier and more comfortable. And oftentimes I find if we replace those, that the words green or sustainable or high performance or energy efficient, if we replace those with healthier and more comfortable, all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and people get it.
Yep.
So sometimes it's choice of language. I will, I'll tease you guys a little bit with the myths just to lead you in. Actually, Izumi, what do you think one of the myths is?
Well, the biggest misconception or biggest challenge I always have talking about green homes is that it's more expensive.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one for sure.
That's a big one. Mm-hmm. And that comes definitely back to value. And sometimes it is a tad bit more expensive, but big but. Sorry, that sounded wrong. There are so many times that when you buy a piece of clothing, if you buy something quality, it lasts longer. It stays in style longer. And the same is true of our homes. We may spend a little bit more to make a more quality decision, but it serves us a lot longer. So that's really a good way to think about the whole it's too expensive discussion. And a lot of times it's not any more expensive. As a matter of fact, a lot of everyday habits that we can adopt in our home actually save us money. But we have to look at it holistically, and we don't always do a good job of that. So the other one that I hear a lot is that green only matters to certain demographics like millennials.
Right.
And guess who the next biggest buyer of green homes is? They're right about on par with millennials. And that was baby boomers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, it's funny because baby boomers and millennials mirror each other a lot. And a lot of baby boomers are parents of millennials. So I guess that stands to reason. So yeah, that's another one I hear a lot. And the last one that I'm going to talk about here before we roll into the presentation is that green is just a trend or a fad. And I will say nothing is further from the truth, especially with our emphasis on health and wellness and comfort and realizing that our homes are more than just our castle. They're our everything. That is really, really showing now. So let me step you through what this looks like a little bit, give you a little taste of how you can start putting some of this knowledge to work in real estate is kind of how we're going to talk about it today in terms of how you can do it in the real estate market, but it applies to anybody that works with a home. And that includes homeowners,
right?
Home buyers and home sellers and homeowners and home dwellers. Even if you rent, you can apply so much of this in your homes. And that's where this little bit at a time, this incremental green really starts to add up. So let me make sure we're sharing screens here. And I'll go to presentation. And of course, I've got all the little bars hiding everything that I need. I never know if I can get everything up front. But we are going to walk through how to sell the value of green features and how it helps get listings and buyers. And this is a huge piece of it because this is the value. This is the value to us, is to help our clients have it better. This is me. If you want to find me, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram or at either of my websites, The Green Home Coach and Everyday Green Home. you can see the photo there. The name of the podcast was different. We just changed it a few months ago. So what are we going to do real quick? We're going to talk about how the components in a home may be green and how to spot those added features, or the features and their added value. We're going to talk about emotional value, because this is super important. And how do you sell that emotional value to help with getting listings and selling homes? And then I'm going to give you a quick bonus, that's some maintenance tips to set you apart and make you a hero with your clients. And you'll see why that all ties in when we get there. So first and foremost, we all want a home that looks good and performs well. And a lot of times we think about the look good and we kind of forget about the performs well until we're living there and things don't work or things don't do as we expected. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh man, I should have thought about that. So we may think we just want to look good, but when we actually live in the house and have to start taking care of it and it's taking care of us, that performance piece really does come into play. So a green home is one way to do that. I think it's the best way to do it. And a lot of people agree with me. You're going to hear a lot of different words besides green home. You're going to hear high performance home, sustainable, energy efficient, water efficient, resource efficient. But they all really dive into the same thing, that it's a holistic approach to building and remodeling. And yes, you heard me right. You can use these same concepts for remodeling, for redecorating a room, or even a weekend warrior project that you're doing on your own. These same concepts apply across the board. Why? Because they help us to create healthier, safer, and more comfortable living spaces. And as we were saying earlier, right now, that's huge, really, really huge. I mean, we've all lived in our homes in ways we never thought possible 5 or 6 months ago. So how do you get there? Well, attention to detail is number one, and careful planning. And the reason this makes a lot of sense, think about, you plan the work and then work the plan. Well, when you are thinking about the holistic nature of something and how everything relates, you really need that plan. Because if you change one thing, it can ripple down and affect other things. So that attention to detail also means you're going to get a really high quality project or home when you get done with it. So why a green home is better? This is really where I want to start diving in and helping you to understand the benefits, because this is what matters to you and to each of us, whether we're the client, a buyer, a seller, or a home professional. We all want the same things in our own homes and for our clients. Number one is health and safety. This is the big issues right now, the big benefits that we're all so focused on, and it comes in places that you may or may not expect. You can see right here, I've got pictures of a bathroom. Well, how can a bathroom contribute to your health and safety? Well, all that moisture that comes in the air from your shower, from your sink, from cooking in your kitchen, although I don't have a picture of the kitchen, it plays in there too. All of that moisture can get into the air and cause havoc. Mold and mildew are not our friends, and they are big contributors to health and safety issues in our homes. We also have all the pollutants, the toxins, the things that we bring in, and all the different elements that make up our homes, as well as our furniture and even our dry cleaning. So fresh air and ventilation is super important. And we don't talk enough about ventilation. So that's a big part of this one. So what kind of things do you want to look for in this scope of things? Ventilation systems. So you might have a whole house ventilation system called an ERV or an HRV, depending what part of the country you're in. Automatic bath fans. And having good bath fans that are quiet is huge, because we don't turn them on if they're noisy all the time. And there's some really good ones out there that are energy efficient, super quiet, and really get the air out, because ventilation fans aren't just for the stink, they're for the humidity and the toxins too. You can choose what you use in the home differently. You can use no or low VOC and no or low toxin paints, adhesives, finishes. So like, even if you're doing a urethane kind of product on the floor, you can find low VOC urethanes. All of those toxins, all of that odor is part of the bad stuff. And I'll just that's a real techie way to describe it, but I'll just kind of leave it at that. One of those toxins you have probably heard about is formaldehyde. And having formaldehyde-free cabinetry and wood products in your home is super important to us living healthier. And then around these kind of features, there's all kinds of value and benefit messages that we as professionals can share with our clients. So you may have healthier air, easier to breathe, with low VOC, paints and finishes, with better exhausted air through quieter fans. You may have no formaldehyde to cause issues such as asthma, allergies, headaches from prolonged exposure. And so these kind of features can add to that value message that we are sharing with our clients. So why else is a green home better? And that's comfort. And everybody describes comfort differently. It's very, very individual. But there's some commonalities that usually apply across the board. So namely that it's warm or cool where and when it should be, and that we don't have a lot of drafts, and the humidity level is appropriate. Humidity is one we don't talk about a lot, and having that right level of humidity really makes a difference to our comfort. The kinds of things you would look for here, a lot of your energy efficient features, such as your heating and cooling systems, your thermostats, whether or not the home has ceiling fans, great addition to any home. Even run them backwards in the winter to help distribute the heat better. You might have an upgraded air sealing package or insulation, maybe an alternative building system, energy efficient windows, or even window treatments. How much you're able to see is going to depend where you are in the process with the way the home was built. If it's a really old home that's 20 or 30 years old or older, that's not really old, that's kind of old, and there's going to be different things that you're going to be able to see, but you can see if there's ceiling fans, you can see what kind of thermostat it is, you can see whether or not there's window treatments that help to control the sun and the heat. So even if you can't see behind the walls, you can still see a lot. You can see what kind of heat and air conditioning system it is. So knowing those answers is just going to give you more information to share with your clients so that they have a better idea of what they're getting into. Some of the homes that I've looked at, they've even had the energy bills out on the table for me. And that's been a big help. Even though behavior is a big piece of it, at least I know what I'm starting with. So some of the value, yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you talk about the, I think that building envelope is a word that we use all the time, I think, but maybe not everybody understands.
Thank you.
Also, tell us what ICF or CIPs are.
So let me start with the building envelope.
Yeah.
So a building envelope is like our skin, except it is the skin of a house. And it is everything that constitutes the line, if you will, the skin between the inside and the outside. So it's your roof, it's your walls, it's your foundation, it's your windows that go into those walls, and your exterior doors that go into the walls. And then there's layers in those envelopes. So you may have your outside cladding, like your siding or your brick, your roof shingles. You will also have insulation. You may have solar board to help reflect the heat. And those are all pieces that stack on top of each other to create that skin, if you will, the layers of the skin around the house. ICF and SIPs are two alternative building envelope technologies that can be used that are pre-built, if you will. So an ICF is insulated concrete form. And this is where it looks like a Lego. I wish I had one of my samples with me. A client of mine here is building an ICF house. So they look like big Legos. They're styrofoam, the good styrofoam usually, the non-emitting kind. I should say foam, not styrofoam. And then they have a space in the middle. And the space can vary depending, as well as the thickness of the foam, depending on where you are and how much insulation you want. But you stack these blocks, and then you have steel rebar inside to reinforce it, and you fill the inside cavity with concrete. So it's a very, very heavy duty home. Here in Tornado Alley, where I live, these are a very good option for the high wind and the tornadoes that we get. There's a picture of the hurricane that was in Florida. I think it's, Izumi, you remember the name of the city? Mexico Beach, maybe? Something with an M.
Oh.
And you know which one I'm talking about?
In Mexico?
No, it was in Florida, but it was
Florida.
I can't remember the name of the town. I'm so sorry. But there was a picture that was widely distributed on the internet and in the news, and it was a picture of one home standing. There actually was a home partially standing behind it. And that one home that was standing was made of ICF.
Wow.
Now, it had a lot of other features as well to weatherproof it and hurricane-proof it. And they did some really smart engineering on it. But ICF was the construction that they chose.
Yeah, resilience is also
resilience is huge. And it's resilience gets into not just what products you choose, but how the products are installed and maintained also becomes a really big part of that whole equation.
And sourced.
Yeah.
Right.
SIPs is the other one that we didn't talk about, and this is structural insulated panels, and they're kind of the opposite of ICF. They have the foam on the inside, and it's sandwiched between usually a OSB, an engineered board, on either side that's either glued or extruded together, and they operate like they're just big panels, and you basically snap them together. They almost have like a tongue and groove that snaps together. The benefit of both of these alternative technologies is they're very tight, very energy efficient, as well as highly resilient. Plus, they don't require the labor that a traditional stick-framed house will require. Not in the same way, at least. The labor is back in the manufacturing plant, not actually out on the site.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you for...
Oh, fair question. I was racing through to be considerate of time and skipped right over it.
That's good. Thank you.
No. So, some of the kinds of messages that you might find around comfort, maybe around the comfort of fewer drafts, keeping your hard-earned money that you've spent on air-conditioned air or heated air inside the home is a biggie. We don't want to pay to condition all that air and then it just goes away out through the leaky house. We also can see increased comfort through our heating and air conditioning units in a lot of ways, as well as saving on utility costs. And that in turn can improve the market value of the home because it's going to be a lower cost, easier home to operate and to maintain. And that's become a really big issue with a lot of people. I'm hearing more and more people ask about how hard is this going to be to maintain? So that's another great benefit that we don't often share. So if something has low maintenance finishes or low maintenance siding, for instance, sharing that will oftentimes help people to see the value. Okay, so I'm going to move on to cost savings. Hey, that was a perfect segue, right? We all think in terms of utility costs, right? And our utility costs, especially for heating, cooling, our hot water, and our lighting, are a big component of what we spend every month on our homes. And since that isn't always figured into our loans, our loan calculations, it's kind of a hidden cost. So a lot of times we don't take that into consideration until we're paying the bills. So knowing up front as much as you can about what those may run and ways that you can help it to be controlled as well as possible is certainly very useful and very helpful. And the less money we have to spend on utility costs and the more money we have to spend on things in our homes or something else.